Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your host, Kodey Stoffer, and today we have some interviews for you. We have up first Josh Rouland, and this interview was recorded on January 9th of 2021, and since then, Josh has accepted a scholarship to Western New Mexico University. So following this interview, make sure to follow Josh's career over there at Western New Mexico, and that changes his story a little bit, but still listen to the words that he has to say and the journey that he went through in order to earn that, opportunity and in order to play at the next level. And following that, we have Jordan Woolverton, the state champion quarterback out of Durango, who is a preferred walk-on at CU, who, we've seen some pictures of doing his workouts and doing his thing over there at CU. So please enjoy these two interviews. That Jordan Woolverton one was recorded on December 20th, 2020. So, heading into last year a little bit, we've been sitting on these interviews for a while. So please enjoy.
Hello all, and welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kodey Stoffer, and we have another interview for you today and a very special guest. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, what position you play, and where you're from.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. I'm Josh Rouland. I'm a wide receiver from Fairview High School in Boulder, Colorado. And yeah.
All right. So, Josh, thank you so much for joining us. And, obviously, if you haven't listened to episode 19, Josh Rouland is our number 4 ranked wide receiver. So please listen to that episode if you haven't. But Josh, let's get to know you a little bit and what sports mean to you. What is your favorite sports experience or memory while playing? This could be a specific play, a specific game, a specific season, and it doesn't have to only be football. You can also have multiple moments if you want to talk about those.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I would definitely say it would be a football memory, but from elementary school, actually, when in my Little League teams. Our Little League team was pretty dang good, and we won like the conference championship or whatever. And I just remember losing to this team called the North Glen Huskers early in the season. And then we got to face them again in the championship, and then we ended up beating them. And then the joy on my team that we all had together was just probably my favorite sports memory so far.
Hey, I love revenge games. I'm a huge fan, and those are certainly some of my favorite experiences. So I'm glad to hear some level of similarity there. And I assume that you're also a sports fan. And so I'd like to ask, what's your favorite sports viewing experience, whether it was a live game or something you watched on the television with family? Kind of what is your favorite sports viewing memory?
I'm not really a big Patriots fan, but watching them come back from the Falcons was pretty good in the Super Bowl. And then also definitely watching Odell's that one-handed catch. I watched that live, so I feel like that was one of the crazy moments just to see that actually happen in game when a lot of people didn't get to see and actually just saw it on social media and stuff afterwards. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a crazy catch that had a legacy. And I don't expect to be the most popular here if you're going to praise the Patriots. No, I'm just playing with you, but. Now that we got to know you a little bit and what sports mean to you, I'm going to pass it over to Simon, and he's going to just ask you some questions about your game. So, Simon, good. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Sounds good. Well, first things first, Josh, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Also, we are really happy that we pronounced your name right, because I think that's the first tough one we got. We had Anthony Tocchini on earlier, and we were not even close with that. So, we're happy that we got you right. So yeah, but let's go ahead and let's talk some football here. So who do you model your game after? Is there like an athlete or a role model or a receiver that you see that is either ahead of you in college or at the next level or even NFL that you feel like is very comparable to you?
One person that I've always loved watching or I just really wanted to model my game after is Larry Fitzgerald. And that's just because of his hands especially, and he's a good route runner and good at getting like yards after play, but he has just the amount of catches he has per game and the amount of drops he has in his season is just so low. I was reading an article, I think, a couple months ago, and I noticed that he's had more like tackles than he's had drop balls. So I think that's just one of the most interesting facts ever, and I feel like that's something that I want to model my game after, is that I have the most reliable hands on the team and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. I could definitely see that. That's a pretty good comparison. I don't know if you you follow our TikTok, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on I think we posted your wide receiver TikTok film, and I think someone commented AJ Brown, and I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Both of y'all have reliable hands and kind of a bigger frame, so that was interesting. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did. I didn't see that. That's sweet though.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. So, speaking of reactions, let's talk about your reaction to our evaluation of your game. So we did rank you as the fourth best receiver in the state, and so how did you feel about that?
Honestly, super happy and a little bit surprised. To be honest, I don't think that's wrong. I think highly of myself, but it just seems like others don't think as highly of me. And I really didn't have that much of a chance to show off what I can do in my high school career. So I just was super happy to see that someone noticed me and that someone thought highly of me as well.
Yeah, man, no, for sure. So you are one of the only one-year starters on this list. I don't believe we have that many other guys who made it on as a one-year starter, but your film just popped, and obviously you didn't get as many touches as you possibly could, but we really did feel like you were one of the best in the state. And obviously playing for Fairview, which is very pass-heavy, definitely did you a lot of wonders and helped you a lot. So we really do hope you get an opportunity somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so, with that being said, so have you had a chance to, look at some of the other guys on this list? Obviously, your teammates with one of them in Jay Barry, but have you gotten to look at their film and, chop it up with them at all?
I have not had a conversation with any of them, but I've definitely watched. I hadn't seen the number 5 kid. I forget what his name was, but I know who. I know Jay Barry. We played Chase Penn. I watched him, and then the other dude, I forget what his name is as well. I watched him play basketball as well, and I've seen him and his athleticism and stuff like that, and I've also watched his film. So yeah, a little bit.
Ah, gotcha. Sweet. So, just to fill those names in for you, I think it was Nate Gravagno at number 5.
Oh, and Ty Robinson, right?
Yeah,
Ty
and
Robinson,
Ty
number
Robinson.
2.
Yeah. All right, sweet, man. So, with that being said, you have been able to see some of them play and whatnot. So, in your opinion, let's talk. How should I say this? Let's talk senior year, since that's where most of your game came from, right?
Yeah.
What are 2 to 3 qualities that separate you from other receivers in the state, in your honest opinion?
I just think reliability of catching the ball, and then just, I guess, effort on every play, regardless of what the play is.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, those are both things that we praised you a lot for. You have some of the best hands in the state. You're very focused when it comes down to that. So there's that reliability, and just in general, you just have a very high motor. You're out there, you're working, whether you have the ball in your hands or not, and you're kind of like that impact player. And that doesn't go unnoticed, as you can see here. That's definitely something that we kept in mind here. And compared to some other receivers who may have been a little bit more one-dimensional, like either they don't block as much or they don't run as wide a variety of routes, that kind of separated you for sure in our eyes. So there you go. But let's continue to talk football here, right? So what are some things that you're going to make a point of working on this off season?
I definitely need to work on speed. That's just like a big thing. I don't think I'm like slow necessarily, but if I'm going to try and play at the next level, then I think I need faster breakaway speed. That's probably the biggest one. Then second one is more like mentally. I get in my own head a lot, and I feel like when I'm getting in my own head, I don't perform as well as I can. And I think that shows sometimes, and it slows me down, and it slows literally my whole body down, my playing and all that type of stuff, my thinking, and it's something that I definitely need to work on. And then also just like fixing my levels, small mechanics, stuff like that. Simple things in route
Yeah.
running, reading defenses. But yeah,
Okay.
those are the bigger two things.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Top end speed, I don't think in our opinion was like the biggest concern. It was, it's up there, right? Like getting separation and all that, but
Yeah.
we think you could get there for sure. We both agree that you're super explosive and you're good in and out of cuts, so that's the important part there. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good to hear that you're going to be working on some of those things for sure. So let me go ahead and pass it off to Kodey, who's going to talk about, your future and looking back and all that great stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, so, obviously COVID has made getting a lot of film a bit harder, and has definitely impacted the recruiting process, as well as being a one-year starter. You've been put into a tough spot. But I guess, what kind of has been your experience with recruiting, and what are some things that you've learned since like trying to go to the next level as a high school athlete that you wish you knew before like the season started or before you got into recruiting?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing that I learned at this point is that squeaky wheel gets the grease. So like the more you're reaching out to coaches, the more that you're putting yourself out there, then the more they're going to end up seeing you. Earlier in the recruiting, I just was kind of hoping that like, oh, coaches are going to see me. Oh, I'm going to make big plays this year. Oh, whatever, all that type of stuff. But I realized that unless you're like some huge like 3-star recruit or higher than that, or have like some crazy play that goes viral or something like that, then that doesn't really happen as much, and that you need to really put yourself out there and reach out to coaches and talk to them about your interest in their school. So yeah.
And those are all very good points, and I really like the saying there, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But I guess, as you are reaching out, or as you've gone through this process, what are things that you prioritize from a school or a program? Like, what are you looking for?
Definitely, I'm looking for more of like an air raid type offense, a type of school that throws 50 plus times a game, so that, or if not, then that they're throwing, there's like less receiver spots, and that they're throwing to those receivers a lot, and actual routes, not just like screens and outs. I want to run like real routes and stuff like that. And then as well as just for actual education purposes as well, like stuff that I want to major in or that I'm interested in. And then also just like size of the school and like what the college experience is going to be like.
Yeah, I totally hear you and understand that for sure. I guess, what is, if there's anything that we don't know, I guess we don't know too much about your recruiting. So if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to know kind of who has reached out to you, or who you've heard from, or who you may be interested in.
Yeah, definitely. I have been reaching out to lots of different types of schools, like on Twitter and stuff like that. I've been talking with a lot of different types of coaches, mostly D2, D3 area. I started off this year talking to University of San Diego, like all last summer, all up into this football season. He was talking to me all through the football season, and he just sounded super interested in me. But then I guess that wasn't really true, but that's fine. It's whatever. And I was super interested in them as well. But then started branching out and realizing that, like, okay, D1's probably not the route after only playing 7 games of high school football, really. And so I started talking to more D2s, Augustana in South Dakota, South Dakota School of Mines. I have contacts with the CSU Pueblo coach, stuff like that. And then just other, like, Western New Mexico, stuff like that. And then also I got an offer from Dakota State, which is like I think it's either D3 or NAIA. I'm not sure, but that's like my only technical scholarship that I'm put on. But I'm not really sure exactly how I feel about that yet. I'm kind of still keeping my options open. And I'm also looking at JUCOs, especially right now, because I think that's a route I could take, and it could be an affordable route for me. And then I could actually maybe get somewhere like D1 or something like that in the future if I work out enough.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to keep keep your options open. And there's some familiar schools. I know some guys who went to South Dakota and South Dakota Mines, and they had good experiences there. And and NAIA also is pretty competitive football. We actually just had one of our buddies, Coach Booten, on for our cornerbacks episode, and I think that he has some really valuable insight as far as what coaches are looking for from the collegiate level, because Simon and I, we've coached, but we're not currently in that position. So I think that Coach Booten has some great insight. So whenever we drop our defensive backs episode, I think that might be something to look into for you. And for any listeners, in the middle of this interview, we'll throw in the plug. It's going to be episode 20. But anyways, I think that it's good to keep your options open. JUCO is a pretty good route. I had a conversation with, I'm not sure how they're related to you. I forget. Maybe it was your mom on Facebook. I don't know. But
Kimberly?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah, so she was asking some good questions about JUCO, and I pointed her to some of our episodes, especially like the Sam Flowers episode and the Martin Ibarra episode, 5 and 10. Those guys have a lot of great insight on what the JUCO system kind of looks like, and we've talked about JUCO quite a bit. We think it's a pretty valid option for getting some more film and becoming a more complete football player to try and go to that next level. So I think that you're doing a good job at perusing all of your options, and I respect that. And also just know that you have a chance to prove yourself anywhere, right? At any school that's willing to give you a shot. So just bet on yourself. And Simon tells this to everybody, and I think it's a great thing to echo, is bet on yourself, and also be aware of the position that you're in to bet on yourself, right? So
yeah,
congrats on those conversations that you're having, right? I know that CSU Pueblo, I've worked with their wide receivers coach before back when I was in high school. He's very insightful. He helped me become a better player. And CSU Pueblo is a pretty successful D2 program as well. And you'd also get to stay in state.
Yeah, definitely.
So, just look into your options for sure. I think that you have some pretty solid options, if I'm being completely honest with you, just based off this conversation. So, just keep an open mind and feel out those connections, right? Because those connections are going to be super important. But
yeah, definitely.
And you talked about it a little bit as far as you want to play some college ball, but I guess what is your outlook on college and some goals that you have when you do go to college, whether that's on the field or in the classroom?
Definitely don't want to waste a college education on something that I am just gonna major in, and that's just there's just no point. I'm only doing it to go and have a college experience. I kind of want something to come out of college, especially. So that's a big thing for me, and I'm just trying to find what I want to do, especially right now while I still have time to decide. And so I guess we'll see where that goes. But and then I guess just on the field, I just want more chances to play football. I feel like I just had a very limited amount of time to actually play some football in high school, so I just really want to play football again.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable and completely valid, and I think that those are good goals to keep in mind, and also great passions to have as well. I want to let Simon get a chance to ask some questions before we start getting towards the tail end or outro of this interview. So Simon, whatever you want to ask her, if you have any questions, go for it.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I don't have a whole ton of questions. I guess just some things to say, really. I'd have to agree with Kodey, don't be afraid to bet on yourself, because look, there's a reason you're the number 4 guy on the state right here. We bet on you, we believe in you, and we think you're a heck of a guy, just the looks weren't there, right? And that's one of the biggest reasons why we do this podcast, because we want to give a platforms to guys who don't get that recognition that should, and we think you're a heck of a talent and you're a heck of a guy. And honestly, man, I personally think you're a wide receiver 1 for a lot of teams. It's just your film, you know what I mean? That's holding you back just a little bit. And not even your film, just the lack of it, right? So That's nothing you could even control right now. What you can control is going to another, to the next spot, wherever it may be. And it does sound like you do have a couple options here, which is better than no options. And being a dog and competing, because you never know where that'll lead, you know what I'm saying? And personally, and this is just my opinion, but I think, it would probably do you some good to go to JUCO and put up some big numbers, because I think you could do that right away if I'm just being straight up honest. It just depends on JUCO and, what they do over there. Like, obviously, you have the right mind of going to a JUCO that throws, because, it's not going to do you any good to go to one that only, like, runs the ball, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. But I personally think if you were to go to a JUCO, just getting more years and film, that'll help you out a lot. And honestly, I think you could be a D1 guy. I really believe that, FCS for sure, potentially FBS, it just depends what they're looking for, I guess, on that next level. But I definitely think you could be a D1 guy. So most definitely don't be afraid to go somewhere and compete and be that dude, because, also that'll make college a little bit cheaper too, because JUCOs are definitely less expensive. And then if you could snag a full ride somewhere, which I'm sure you can, then that'll be even better. And that could lead to even a better education with, obviously more options in the future. So that's really all I got to say. I think you're a great talent, man. I just think you're super underrated and I guess undervalued, honestly, at this point. So
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say, no, it's just like tough for me, especially because I feel like I just wasn't given the shot to actually prove myself, and especially this year, like only having 25 receptions, whereas like Grant Page on my team had whatever it was, like 69 or whatever,
Right.
And then Jay Barry having like 54. So and
Yeah.
also there was just more that goes into it with like unfortunate circumstances, but I'm gonna come back from them, so it's all good.
Heck yeah, man. And that's the right mentality to have. And honestly, this Fairview team is really interesting if we're just going to be completely honest here. We mentioned first year starters. I think Liam O'Brien was the only other first year starter on all of our top 5 lists here so far on our Playmakers list.
Yeah.
So that's, there's definitely a lot of adjusting there because it's a new quarterback. He's a 1-year guy himself, just like you, and so there was a bit going on, but y'all did y'all's thing. Personally, I think you made the best of the situation just because you weren't getting the ball a lot, right? But you did what you could with it, and you scored when you can, and you showed just enough. I think that honestly showed a good amount. Like there are guys that don't have as much as you do, so I think I like that, and I'm willing to bet on you, honestly. So that's my personal opinion, though.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Kodey, you could go ahead, add on anything else, and do outro and all that stuff if you'd like.
Sweet. So, everything Simon said, everything we said, we're really genuine about it. I really like I forgot to mention this earlier, but I really like the Larry Fitz comparison and goal because, the first thing that I put as far as your strengths was sticky hands. So, I recognize that you have good hands and that you take pride in that. And, that I can see that Larry Fitz is obviously a great guy to look up to for having reliable hands. But, I think that listening to what Sam Flowers has to say, Sam Flowers, he was a guy who played JUCO at Ventura College out in California. And basically he was like, everybody on the team got like 4 receptions a game because that's just the way we were coached up. So he's like, I worked on my yards after the catch and making the most out of every reception. And you're certainly a player who made the most out of every reception that you had. And I think that in order to continue to succeed and then get those chances at the next level, you do the same thing, whether that's at a JUCO or at the D2, you do that and it'll take you as far as you want to go. So, I think that you have the right goals in mind and just making the most out of every opportunity. I think that, you could see that you made the most out of every opportunity because of where you're at, being a 1-year starter and being number 4 on this list. So, just continue to do what you can do and improve in the off season, get faster, work on that burst. And I think that that schools will be lucky to have you. So just make the most of every opportunity for sure.
Thank you.
I do want to take some time as we proceed towards the end of this episode to give you a chance to talk about who's been important to your academic or athletic career, and just give you some time on the show to give them a shout out and to thank you, because as we've talked about with countless other people and even on the show, it's about who you surround yourself with and the opportunities that you're afforded and how you're afforded them. So, I think it's really important to younger high school athletes to hear, like, you don't have to do it by yourself, and who is important as a part of that process. So if you want to take some time, and this could be friends, family, coaches, fellow players, or whatever, just who's been important to you in your athletic and academic career?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely been a lot of people that have been very important to me throughout my whole life, academically and through sports and activities and stuff like that. Number one would definitely be my mom. I mean, she's been there for me this whole time, encouraged me to get good grades, encouraged me to practice hard, encouraged me to play hard, all that stuff, taken me to my games, paid for my football, paid for my basketball, paid for all the other sports I played when I was younger, stuff like that. So the biggest thanks definitely goes to her and her will to let me do all this stuff and all that type of stuff. Secondly, probably would be a football coach that just left our school named Devin Grimes. He was our strength and conditioning coach as well as a wide receiver and cornerbacks coach. He wasn't, unfortunately, with us this year because he enlisted in the military, because it was a good decision for his life and stuff like that. But he was someone that's like a mentor to me, especially, and he really taught me the most that I know about football and about being a wide receiver and about ultimately being a better person. And I give all my glory to him and his help and stuff like that throughout high school, because he is definitely someone who's believed in me when other coaches and stuff haven't, stuff like that. So he's huge, definitely. If he's listening or whatever, I don't know. We'll see. But and I'd say our head coach is really important, because he's just one of the most interesting, smart human beings I've ever met and can get through any situation. It's kind of a hard A word. I don't know if you're allowed to say cuss words on the thing, so I won't. But he's a tough guy. He gets the most out of you, and that's something that I struggle with sometimes, is that I just let myself play down to other people's levels, and he's someone that can really get it all out of you and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, there's a couple more people in my life that have definitely trained me early on in a younger age and stuff like that, but besides that, those are the main three for sports and academics right now, I'd say.
Hey, we appreciate you sharing, and we appreciate your self-censorship. If we had to, we would have thrown a bleep in there, but you just made our job a little bit easier, so I appreciate that. So I appreciate that, and I just want to say, you talked a little bit earlier about how you sometimes like get in your head, and it's like a full like body experience, and I think that something to hear from from anybody, I guess, and whether that's us because we've watched a lot of film on a lot of different guys, or we've played the game ourselves. I think something that's important for me to say is be confident in yourself, and Simon said it, bet on yourself. We both believe in you and your talent, and I think it gets thrown around a bit too much these days, but the best players have the shortest memories and the biggest foresight. So I think just look ahead and dream and work about where you can be and put in that grind, and you can definitely, I think you can go places. So I just want to give you a chance before we wrap up here, if there's any lasting quotes or thoughts you would like to share, or anything that you'd like to say to younger listeners, or just shout out.
I mean, first off, thank you guys for having me on here, and thank you for noticing me and finding me. It's really big, and a lot of people reached out and was like, oh, I saw the TikTok, I saw the Instagram post. That's so awesome. Makes me feel a lot better about myself, especially. So thank you for that. And then shout out to my whole Fairview team, just because they're who stayed with me this whole time, and they're awesome, and they're a good team. And I think that we really overcame a lot this year in football as a team and stuff like that. So I really want to shout them out. And so thank you guys so much.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. That does it for Josh Rouland on this episode of Playmakers Corner podcast. Make sure to give our boy Josh a follow. He's on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're at college listening to this, get this guy a scholarship. He is going to be a great talent for your team. He has D1 size, and he has D1 speed and burst and hands. So give him a chance. And if you want a full breakdown on Josh, listen to episode 19. But that does it for this interview of Playmakers Corner.
And please stay tuned for the Jordan Woolverton interview coming up next.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your co-host, Simon Villanos.
And I'm your other co-host, Kodey Stoffer.
And today we're back at it with another interview, and we have a special guest today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, the position you play, and where you're from.
I'm Jordan Woolverton. I'm from Durango, Colorado, and I play quarterback down here.
Sweet. Class of 21, he actually just graduated, well, as of this recording, I guess, last Friday. So first off, we just want to say it on the podcast, congrats from us to you. That's big time. And yeah, so with that being said, we do have a couple intro questions here that we ask everyone, that we have continued to ask everyone. And so one of those questions is, what is your favorite sport experience or memory that you have that you participated in or played in? So this kind of memory is usually a memory that you were a player in, or I guess, if you have coaching experience that you coached in. But what's a favorite sport experience or memory that you have?
Oh, I mean, experience-wise, it's been growing up with all these class of 21 seniors. We've been playing together since third grade in the pee-wee leagues and everything through middle school, and then all the way through high school, and then just playing with those guys all the way up till senior year and finally winning a state championship with them. It's definitely took over my favorite sports experience for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then the other question we got here is, what's your favorite sport viewing experience? So you weren't necessarily participating in it, but maybe you're watching a game on TV or you're live somewhere, and this could be on any level, so pro, college, high school, even middle school. So yeah.
Oh man, my favorite viewing experience would probably be when Ohio State won the national championship with their third string quarterback,
yeah,
Bill Jones, I think it was, when he won the Natty, just as a third string coming in there and getting the job done. I thought that was pretty cool back then.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was big time. I remember that too. That one felt like it was just yesterday, to be honest. But
Okay.
all right, so look, we know you're a quarterback and all that. That's like a big time position, and so there's a whole ton of different guys you could potentially look up to and whatnot. But what we want to know here on the Playmakers Corner, what we really want to know here is, who do you model your game after? I guess either as a role model or somebody you look up to.
I mean, I would really love Marcus Mariota. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. Obviously, he's a backup for the Raiders now.
Right.
But I mean, just watching him through college and then his few years with the Tennessee Titans, I've always loved watching him. He's a class act, and I like modeling my game after him. How he's very versatile. He can run the rock, but he can also get the job done with his arm too. And so, I mean, that's really who I love trying to model my game after.
Nice, man, for sure. Yeah, well, that makes two Mariota fans in here. I love Marcus Mariota as well, so that's awesome. And I see a lot of that in your game too, so that's really interesting as well. But with that being said, let's talk about your game, right? So what is your reaction to our evaluation of you, whether you listened to the episode or saw our TikToks or saw our TikToks, and then what's your reaction to being ranked the number 3 quarterback in Colorado?
I mean, it was pretty cool. I really, it just kind of came up when on my notifications one day, and I was like, oh, what's this? And so I checked it out, and I remember one of my friends reaching out to me and being like, hey, you're ranked number 3. And I was just like, oh, really? Like, so I listened into the podcast and everything, and I thought it was awesome. I mean, I appreciate the recognition and everything from you guys. It was very cool.
Yeah, man, no, for sure. I mean, honestly, when we were doing our research and whatnot, I want to say this was before the playoffs and before, like, obviously y'all won that state title. And so when I found you, because I think I was the first one to pull up your name, your film really just popped just on film. You were making plays, whether it was on the ground, whether it was throwing, and it looked easy out there for you. It looked like you were having fun, and it was a good film to watch for sure. There's no doubt about it. But with that being said, have you gotten a chance to look at some of the other guys on this list? I know Durango was 3A and Palmer Ridge was 3A as well. And our number 1 quarterback, Luke McAllister, obviously played for Palmer Ridge, but we couldn't quite find if y'all faced off maybe in the playoffs or something like that. But I guess another question there is, did you play against Luke McAllister at all in your high school career?
No, I did not ever get a chance to play against him. But I've done some workouts with him. I've gone to some camps with him and everything, and thrown with him through Jenkins Elite and everything. So, I've talked to him. I know him a little bit, and then the Leslie Richardson, I've worked with him a little bit through Jenkins Elite. I've gone to a camp with him too.
Sweet, awesome, man. Oh, sorry, were you gonna say or add on?
Oh no, I wasn't.
Okay, no worries. Sweet. Hey, that's awesome, man. That's always good to see, Hey, iron sharpens iron, But with that being said, though, what are 2 or 3 qualities that you feel like separate you from other quarterbacks in the state, whether that's like a McAllister or a Richardson or whoever?
I think one main quality that I really have is my legs. I can really utilize my legs on the field. It's not just sitting in a pocket for me and throwing the ball or handing the ball off. I mean, I can go get a first down with my legs, or I can break a long run with my legs. And then adding on to that, I think another thing is that I'm not just a guy who can only run and throw the ball sometimes either. I can throw the ball a lot when I need to, or I can run the ball a lot when I need to. And I think that really helps me on the field. And then lastly, I think extending a play and not letting a play die. I think when a pocket collapses, I can get out of the pocket and create something out of nothing very well. And so, I mean, that's what I really try to focus on with my game, is just being creative out there and making all the plays that I can with what I'm given.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. I definitely have to say you're easily one of the best improvisers in the state. When the play breaks down, you do your thing, whether it's running or throwing. And that was something that I'm pretty sure you brought up in your breakdown. So, yeah, no, I'd have to say I totally agree. But so we've talked about your strengths here, right? And you do have a lot. Let's just be honest. You do have a lot. But what are some things that you specifically are going to make a point of working on this off season, going into your first year of college and so forth?
Really just fine tune my mental game for sure. I know at the next level it's a lot faster, and so that means your mental game needs to be sharper, and so that's really what I want to focus on, fine-tuning my mental game. And then, just cleaning up little things like in my throwing motion, as you guys said in my breakdown, really throwing off of with my drive and that back foot and everything, and instead of just like off balance most of the time and everything. So we're really working on that in the pocket and everything. And then, like I said, mental game is the biggest part for me. I want to really get that going super well in order to really keep up with the speed of the game that's coming up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And those are all good things to work on, especially. And I think when we were talking about you on the podcast, I think we both agreed that it was very doable. Like, there are some guys on this list that had a ways to go, but with you, it was like the little things that you could easily clean up, right? Obviously, it's going to take work. Like, I shouldn't say easily, but it's not as bad as it could be,
Yes.
So, all right, Kodey, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those things that you're working on in the off season, and I guess like plans on working on them. But,
as far as high school goes, you're a state champion, so congratulations on that. That's big time. Have you got your ring yet, or what?
No, we just got fitted for them the other couple days ago, and so I'm not sure when they'll be here, but hopefully soon.
All right. Well, I'm giving you permission here to make sure to flex that as soon as it comes in. But I guess, how does it feel being a state champ, and what advice can you share to other players on how to get there?
I mean, it feels awesome. It definitely meant everything to our team, and we've been, like I said in the beginning, we've been working on this as a senior class since third grade. This has always been our goal. And so, I mean, to get the job done, it meant everything to us, and not only just for our team, but for our community too. It was such like an uplifting thing for them too. I mean, the love that we got was very, very cool. And I mean, for future guys coming in to trying to win a state championship, you really got to work. You got to be best friends with your teammates. You always got to hang out with them. You got to get with them working out all the time, and you really got to put a lot of effort and time into it to be able to get to that position. And that's really what we focused on this year. And we've never had a tighter team than this year, and I think it really showed on the field, and it eventually helped us out when we got in the long run.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds like it was basically 10 years in the making as far as, your team, but for the community, it was over 50 years in the making. So congrats on, that history that you guys made, and congratulations to the community as well. And did winning that state championship game affect your recruiting at all? Or if you don't mind sharing to elaborate on that, what has your recruitment story looked like up until this point?
I mean, just a lot of talking I've had some big schools reach out to me, not really giving me offers or anything though. I mean, just reaching out. And so just a lot of talking to these big schools, but I really think I found a home with CU. It's just that in-state feeling, you grow up watching these guys. As a kid, as a young football player, you're always like, hey, I want to play for the Buffs. Like, I want to be a Buff when I'm older and everything. And so, I mean, to have that opportunity, it was something that's really hard to pass up for a Colorado boy as I am. And so, I mean, I'm super excited where I'm at. I'm super excited going into this and hoping that I can go prove myself up there.
Absolutely. So, and now that we're kind of on that subject of, looking forward to that next level, especially now that class-wise you're done with high school, so you even have more time to focus on getting ready for CU. What are some things that you were looking for in a school or a football program, and how does CU fill those needs?
I was really looking for a family culture. Not only you love the winning culture and just like the big school and the nice facilities, but I mean that appealed to me, but not as much as the family culture that I really got shown during my recruiting process with them through Langsdorff and Coach Chev. I mean, they really came in and accepted me, and so I mean that's really what stuck out to me, and so I mean that's what at the end of the day really made my decision for me.
Well, I'm glad that you could find that environment at CU, and excited that you get to stay in state and play.
Yeah.
So you talked about, the relationships and stuff, but in what ways do you think CU helps you with some of the areas of improvement that we talked about on the show, and that you even addressed as far as like improving your throwing motion and, like the plan stuff? Do they have like a plan for that yet? Or, what's that kind of outlook?
I mean, I really haven't heard a plan, but I mean, I know it's going to help me. Langsdorff is a great QB coach, and I'm super excited to get up there and work with him. Same with Coach Durrell. I'm super excited to work with him, but also just being around other great quarterbacks like that. I'm going in to work with another 21 quarterback who's coming in this semester, who I'm super excited to learn from and take away some stuff he has to teach me and these upperclassmen. I mean, it's just you go in and you compete, but you learn at the same time, and that's really what I think I'm gonna try and make the most of, is just learning from all these other great guys from around the country.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's good to keep that open mind and be competitive at the same time. So, that's definitely a different outlook that I've heard, and I think that'll serve you well. Now that your high school football career is over, what is your outlook or goals for college ball? And I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a preferred walk-on offer at CU, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm assuming your first goal is obviously, to kill it in the walk-on area and, get on that roster. But other than that, what else are you looking forward to?
I mean, like you said, just get up there and kill it. But I mean, just to get up there and get to work. I mean, obviously, I want to hopefully eventually get a scholarship and a full ride up there. And I mean, I have a lot of goals when I first get in there. But I think my main one is to eventually become that starter up there, and that's what everyone wants to do going into school. But I think that's my main goal. I really want to put in the work and learn and get up there and eventually become the starter.
Yeah, and we'd love to see that too. Honestly, you definitely have. In my opinion, and in Simon's opinion, you definitely have the talent to do so, and definitely have the drive from everything that we've learned from this interview alone. I'd say, a decade to make history. That's pretty big news, and you carried that weight of your community on your shoulders and fulfilled your goals there. So I think you could do it at the next level. And we said it once, said it twice. Congrats once again on graduating. But I guess this is kind of a shift away from you and to our listeners. What kind of advice would you give to high school athletes looking to go to the next level? And I guess what advice would you give as far as interacting with recruiters and communicating and things like that?
I mean, to get to the next level, football's got to be your number one priority. It's got to be your first love. It's got to be your passion, and you got to put everything you have into the game. And it's not easy. It sucks a lot of time out of your schedule every day. You can't really be a normal kid. You gotta cancel plans with friends and everything just to go get an hour of work in and stuff like that. And so, I mean, really, you gotta love the game with everything you have to be able to get to that next level. And so, I mean, that's the advice I'd give to young high school athletes trying to get to that D1 level. And then, I mean, talking to recruiters, you gotta put yourself out there. I mean, you can't be timid, you can't be shy. You have to make yourself known. Especially, that's what I really had to work on, because I mean, I'm not really the guy to go like just bug someone like, hey, like check out my film, send them it a lot and stuff. But I mean, coming from a small town where I live and small 3A school like that, you got to get yourself out there. And so, I mean, I had to continually email coaches my film or send them over Twitter my film and everything, just trying to get them to get a look at me and hopefully eventually get in the conversation, see what comes out of it. And so, I mean, that's really how the recruiting process is. You got to get yourself out there to be able to get noticed.
Yeah, and I've heard a similar sentiment from other players in 3A especially, that you really got to put your neck out there. So I think that's excellent advice. And, obviously for any other size or conference of football in any state, especially in Colorado, it's not a bad idea to promote yourself. You got to market yourself a little bit.
Yes.
But I guess now that we're kind of getting to the end here, I will give Simon a chance to ask any questions if he has any. Simon?
No, man. Honestly, I really don't have a lot of questions. We're really excited that, first off, that you gave us the opportunity to interview you. We really think that you're a great kiddo and you're an even better athlete, in our opinion. You're fantastic out on the field, and Kodey knows this, but I've seen my share of NFL quarterbacks, and there are definitely some characteristics that you share with some of the guys that I grew up playing against and playing for and whatnot. And so we're excited to see where you go. And I personally think that, given the right opportunity at CU, you could push some of those guys over there for sure. And look, it just comes down to who works harder. The state championship and all that, that's great, man. But at that next level, it gets a little bit harder. There's a little bit more of a strain, but you got what you gotta do. You gotta take care of yourself first. Mental health is always important, and then stay on that grind, stay on that progression you've been on, and you'll be all right. You'll be more than all right, in my opinion. So I just had to make sure I got my 2 cents in there and said that, man.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And but before we head out here, is there anybody in particular who you'd like to mention who's been important to your academic or athletic career, who you'd like to shout out on the show? And you already talked about it. You talked about the coaches up at CU, and you talked about your teammates who you've played with since 3rd grade. But this could be anybody else. This could be friends, family, coaches, or fellow players. If you want to be more specific, I just want to give you time to shut those people out, because support networks are incredibly important to push yourself and become the best person that you can be.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, my parents, for sure, Ryan and Kathleen Woolverton, they supported my dream the whole way. Ever since I was a kid, I told them this is what I wanted to do. I actually have a little checklist that I made in 5th grade. And it started with win a championship in 5th grade, win one in 6th grade, and then it was like start as a 7th grader for the A team in our middle school and everything like that, and then start as a freshman in high school and everything. And so I still have that poster on my wall, and I made that with my parents. And so my parents have been a huge part of my journey here to this point right now. And so really I want to thank them. They've given me every tool that I needed to be able to get to where I am, and so they've been a huge part. And then also, Coach Vogt, he's been a huge support factor in my football career, and honestly in my life too. I've known him for some time now, and he's one of those guys who he's not only your coach, but he's your best friend on the team too, and he's helped out a ton. And then also the guys up at Jenkins Elite and 6-0 Academy who have, when I make trips up there, they train with me and they get me ready to go. And so big thanks to them as well. And yeah, I think that's it.
And are there any lasting quotes or thoughts that you'd like to share with any of the listeners?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right, fair enough. I know we kind of threw you on the spot like that, but there's plenty of great quotes and advice that you've given to our listeners thus far, and they'll be grateful for that. I know that we're grateful for that. I love that story of that checklist that you made back in 5th grade, having those concrete goals and checking them off as you go. And I hope that you continue to be able to check off even more goals and boxes as you proceed. And we here at Playmakers Corner, we wish you the best of luck at the next level. And, we've said it multiple times. We know that you can succeed, and we're super grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
So, Simon, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, not too much here. But yeah, hey, man, we really appreciate it. And if you're listening to this episode, make sure you show us some love on social media. All of our social medias, especially that TikTok, we'll be posting a lot more previews there of not just breakdowns, but interviews like this one as well. And yeah.
Don't forget to also give Jordan Woolverton a follow wherever you find his social medias. I'm pretty sure we can put it in the episode description. But once again, thank you so much, Jordan. And thank you for listening to Playmakers Corner Podcast.